to share with you in response my own story of the tree of memory. And this happened many, many, many moons ago in the land of ice and cold. There was a young girl named Nicole at the age of 8, and she was on her daily journey, walking on the shores of an ancient forest. The time of year was just the end of summer and the beginning of the fall. And all the golden leaves spread across the land and on her path to her daily walk to the knowing tree. And on this day, in her usual spot, this tucked little seat in the very roots of the tree, did she sit as she always does, staring out into the sea. And on this day, even though every day was a moment of listening and little memories would spark from the root of her spine all the way to the center of her mind, listening to the poetry, to the inspiration that lived in the roots of the knowing tree. But on this day, she sat in her usual place, and as the spark rose, there was something else in its place. Something else that wasn't just of light, like the day, but of a deep memory filled with red and mud and black and decay. And it rose to the center of her mind and projected out in front of her. And the tree was showing her a memory from the beginning of time, before mankind came to the sea and to the land and to the clouds. She showed her the very cells of creation and how they formed and gathered and separated, and then came together again from the longing of things unmet. And from that longing and entanglement did they find a way to create new cells, new molecular beings. And time sped, and she saw how each and every creature of this ecosystem came to be projected out onto the sea. And soon she saw the creation of man itself, brought to us by the dreams of the spirit world, that of the dream of the Queen of Fairies herself, longing to see what human potential could truly be. But what the Queen of Fairies did not see was what man eventually would be, without the connection to her dream, without the connection to the land that created them from the beginning. And here this little child of the universe saw the terror of humankind. There she saw the blood shed across the land, across her leaves, across the memories of how things used to be. Titans rose weapons exposed into the hearts of things that should not be. And they carried on, going farther and farther away from the very source that brought them to this place. And there, this little girl was amazed. How could I, this human, be created from such blood, from such fear? How could I exist and still be with such vastness of connection to the other world? So she watched in hope for the tree to expose a dream of possibilities. A dream of how is it that we heal from this bloodshed that has been with us for generations. And so she waited, and she saw all the wars that have been. And soon the blood began to turn into new shades, new ways of seeing the connection of what used to be. And those reds turned into oranges, and those orange leaves began to turn yellow. And she saw the green again in the world, the green of the forest in which she walked every day, the purples and the blues of the sky that met her in her dream time. And soon the tree of knowing showed her the rainbow bridge, the rainbow connection of how to merge all that has been, from that of the dream of the fairy queen herself to that of the harm of the disconnection that humans were born with but do not have to live with. And there, that rainbow came to true fruition. And the tree told her that this would be your quest. To know how things have been, but to remember where we've all dreamed of, where we've all originated from. What lives in us is the stardust. And that although we are entertainers for the fairy court in our human nature, ultimately we need to remember where we come home to when all has been said and done. And when the vision was finally released, she could feel the support of the trunk of her tree. And holding that vision so tenderly, not knowing what it all really meant, but hoping that that rainbow path would show her someday on how to return, to tend, and to be part of the rainbow tribe again. Thank you, and good night.